SNL Pete Davidson's apology and Ariana's diss, Hollywood stars evacuate as California's wildfires rage, and Trump rage tweets. Bohemian Rhapsody's gay debate, plus it's Satan vs. Netflix Sabrina. All this and more on Meet the Hollywood Press for November 11th, 2018. I'm Joseph Kapsch, in for Alina Vision, announcing myself, Joseph Kapsch. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am just going to tell viewers I'm having separation anxiety. Hi, Alina. Alina, my co-host, is not with us today because she's got another engagement. We miss her. And just before I introduce my two guests, I want to take a moment. Obviously, everyone's seen on the news, the California wildfires are raging. We want to send our thoughts, our prayers, our gratitude to the first responders that are working feverishly to put these out. The last I heard, it was 20% contained, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's obviously, we'll get to it a little bit later in the show about the actual Hollywood stars that were directly affected by it. So our prayers, our thoughts to everyone affected by the California wildfires. Also, happy Veterans Day. Just want to salute and honor all of the brave men and women that serve us so bravely year to year, and those have served us in the past and sacrificed for the country. That being said, I want to introduce my panel. Joining Meet the Hollywood Press today is Monica Fink, producer for E! and Extra.
Yes.
You've been killing it on the red carpet there.
Yes.
What are some of the latest red carpet ones you've hit? Some big ones.
We did. We did some good ones with Jake Gyllenhaal, Jamie Dornan.
Yeah, I
about
saw
his
the
new
Jamie
baby.
Dornan one. Julia Roberts. Killing it.
Tiffany Haddish.
A little history here. Me and Monica worked together when we were just, God, I'm not going to age us that much, but young kids. We worked together for about, 5 years at Access Hollywood.
Yes.
So we have a lot of history
Lots
here.
of history.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Also joining us is Humberto Guida.
Got it.
I was asking him, how do you pronounce the name? I want to make sure I get it right. He is a host and producer for LA TV Networks,
Right.
The Zoo.
Yeah.
And also, you said another show, but
Well,
you're
there's
like...
also Latin Nation. It's a syndicated show. Airs nationally in LA. Shows KCAL, Channel 9 Saturdays at midnight. And
Yes.
it's kind of like a docu-series on Latinos in entertainment and sports.
And then The Zoo. Tell viewers and our
Well,
listeners...
it's a talk show. Kind of like this. It's a panel discussion.
Yeah.
English language, but Latino-driven. So just trying to put a Latino stamp on entertainment, pop culture. Sometimes we get into politics, that kind of thing. And you can check it out locally, Channel 31, every day at 5 and 8.
Got it. And just our commitment to diversity at Meet the Hollywood Press. You're also Latina,
I'm
correct?
Latina, yes.
Yes.
This
so
is the Latina-
We've got a
Latina
spicy
episode.
episode.
Spicy.
It's a spicy Meet the Hollywood Press. Okay, so let's get to it. There's a lot to cover now. So last night, SNL, Pete Davidson. So basically last week, as we all saw, he offended a lot of people during Weekend Update when he basically mocked a Navy SEAL named Dan Crenshaw. He's a newly elected representative to Congress, and he had lost his eye in combat. And so it was kind of like a really poor joke, poor taste, which was surprising that producers and not one person before he actually did that had said maybe this is not a good idea to make fun of a veteran. But he did. He got massive backlash. Everybody piled on. So this week, in true SNL fashion, he apologized, but with a twist. So I want to run the clip, and then we'll come back and talk on it on the other end.
You think?
Lieutenant Commander Dave Crenshaw, everyone, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for making a Republican look good.
You gotta stop saying that, man. You've been saying it all day. Please, look, I just wanted to say, for people that don't know, the reason you're wearing an eye patch right now is that you lost your eye to an IED in Afghanistan during your 3rd combat tour. And I'm sorry.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate you saying that.
So we good?
We're good. Apology accepted.
Just keep breathing.
It sounds like my phone's ringing.
You gonna answer that?
No, and I was just going to let it ring because that's rude to answer. Let's just let it go to voicemail.
No, it's cool. Ariana Grande, well, cool, man. Yeah.
Oh, do you know her?
All right, so that's funny. All right, so Last week, I made a joke about a picture of you, and I feel like it would only be fair if you got me back and made fun of a picture of me. Does that sound okay?
I don't really need to do that.
No, come on. I deserve it.
All right, I'll do one.
Please? All right.
And now, first impressions with Lieutenant Commander Dan Crenshaw.
Thanks, Colin. This is Pete Davidson. He looks like if the meth from Breaking Bad was a person.
Not bad. So there, we're even. All right.
Hold on, well, one more. This is. He looks like a troll doll with a tapeworm.
Okay, coming back in from that now. Okay, so Monica, what were your first thoughts when you saw that?
Well, at first he started with like how much his mom hated him too. What
Yeah.
a big dick he was too. It was hilarious. But then for him to come on, it was great. It was
great.
perfect. And to see them apologize and move on, like, hey, we can move on. Keep it going.
Humberto, what did you think though last week when the backlash was so swift? Do you think that that was again warranted for that joke, or again we live in a hypersensitive
I think it's
culture?
a little bit of both.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what it's usually I roll my eyes when I read about someone's public apology because I feel they're a little forced and insincere. However,
Yes.
I think that even though the joke backfired on Pete Davidson, a lot of things are backfiring on Pete Davidson these
Yes.
days. But I thought that was a cool apology because the guy was sitting next to them. You know, it's a Republican also on SNL. There was a little bit of a coming together. You know, like
Yeah.
anybody could watch that clip and feel good about it. So I thought that was cool.
I thought it was great. Well, Dan Crenshaw, even after the when they started covering it all across news, even cable news last week, Dan Crenshaw had gone on like either MSNBC or CNN, and actually had already said that he understood it was a bad joke and did forgive. I thought he really has a future if he
Yeah.
ever wanted it.
He's
Like,
actually the funniest Republican.
he was so
intentionally funny.
Yes, intentionally funny. For the right reasons. Funny for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But I thought he had excellent comedic timing.
Yeah.
So good.
But I really think, again, SNL, as old and long-running as the show is, they've never ceased to amaze me at how innovative, because just to sort
Right.
of bring him on the show, because I was kind of wondering, like, all week, like, when was Pete going to apologize? When was he going to, and it was because they had this cooked up.
Right.
Yeah.
So he had to wait a whole week getting piled on social media for other things too, which we're going to get to my transition now. So Ariana, who we saw in that skit, who for those who living under a rock don't know, they had a short engagement and were supposed to be married, and they had just separated. She released a song, Thank You Next, and almost on the heels of when Pete did promos a couple weeks ago poking fun at the breakup, and I think she was not happy about it. Although I think to myself, did she write the song that quickly and then get it out, or was the song on the shelf? But anyway, the song came like right after.
Right.
She hasn't spoke much about what the song is, but it's very clear in the lyrics, which I'm going to sample a little audio for you guys right now.
Thank you. Next, thank you. Next, thank you. Next, I'm so fucking grateful for my ex. Thank you. Next, thank you. Next, thank you. Next, thank you.
So in the thing, she says, she's like, wish I could say thank you to Malcolm, who is Mac Miller. So when she's saying like her ex, she's talking about him, but then there's pieces in here. You know how obviously the internet and all the celebrity sites like to ruminate on who it was about, but she said something about like him being, I guess, where was it at? She said that he was basically like, she's glad it's over, in other words. But she's grateful for Mac Miller. He's his angel. Monica, what did you make of that song when it came out? Because it's like, it's a debate of whether she doesn't want to say it's a diss track. She was on Ellen. She got very embarrassed about talking about it when she asked about Pete. What's your opinion?
I mean, I think she's thanking him for probably lessons learned. That's
Okay.
what I think. That's
Okay.
like, thank you for the relationship. I learned from it, but now I moved on to the next relationship. Now I'm moving next. What's next?
Yeah.
I mean, with Pete Davidson, though, I mean, she did throw him in there. So did she go back and retrack it before? Because she tracked him in the beginning.
I think she probably added that maybe at the
she
last
probably
second.
added it in. Because she
Oh,
added
here, now
it
I
in.
listen and laugh. Even almost
Yeah.
got married, and for Pete, I'm so thankful.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's thanking him for the lessons.
Yeah.
So it's not really a diss.
I don't think it's a diss. I think she's just like, thanks for loving me, but it didn't work out. Let's move on.
Okay,
Yeah?
thank you. Next.
Next.
Well, I'll say this. You know what this represents, though? I think that both of them, are maturing, because
Yeah.
when you have that big breakup, I think that's one of the
Yeah.
biggest growing phases in your life, and I think she's showing that by first of all, she probably started writing that to thank Mac, and then when this happened, she felt like putting
Pete
Davidson,
in.
yeah.
And so the thing that I really respect and I've noticed, I think she's really blossomed into like what a respectable, because remember with the donuts when she got in so much trouble for
Yes,
licking the
licking.
donut and making fun of like overweight people in America.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
When you think about how since her concert got tragically like bombed and then how she went back there, did the when I was looking at this year for Ariana Grande, it's both been a year of ultimate highs and lows. But what I like about her is you look at she has learned from everything that's happened in the press or like a past relationship through the actions of how she deals with the next kind of like dust up. You know what I'm saying? Whereas I think that's where it's hard to, certain celebrities you see making the same mistakes over and over and like 20 mistakes in, they're not. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I do, because after Mac Miller's death, she took time for herself. She canceled her tour. She canceled engagements she was on, and I think that was really good. I mean, she had some really big engagements that she had committed to, and she's like, nope, I can't do it. I have to take care of myself, which I think is the first thing you need to do in this business.
Absolutely.
And she learned the biggest, most valuable lesson that any successful woman needs to know: never date a comedian.
Yeah, that's true. It's very hard. Although she holds her own, because what was it? Hold on, I was looking in the one article here really quickly. So when he first did the bit that she was like pissed about, she did tweet that night immediately and then erased it, and she said something about like making fun of him about relevancy. Hold on.
Oh yeah, like you want to keep it relevant,
Yeah.
huh? Like
and then she deleted it.
Yeah.
She's pretty quick, whether she's got like a team of people around her, because she's always got a little posse with her.
Right.
Who knows if it's like her own wit. I think she's super talented. I love the girl, and I think she's weathered a lot of tragedy this year.
She definitely has.
Is there any other final thoughts before we move on?
I think she's just teaching girls to move on. Like you can learn from relationships. You don't have to be committed so much all the time. And you know what? Everybody brings a little piece of something with them.
The title is interesting though, because is there a little sarcasm in the thank you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, there
Yeah,
really
like
is.
thank you. And then of course next.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we should mention, this may be her first #1 Billboard.
Yes, I saw that.
Which is kind of crazy to me that Ariana's never had a #1 song.
I know.
As much as she.
Do you think she's going to get upset about the SNL playing on their phone?
No, I think she would think that's funny. That's totally funny, because that was like a big diss. Don't you think that was a big diss?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on next to obviously the California wildfires. Okay, I just want to bring up really quickly, because obviously the fires broke out. So as of now, the death toll in the latest news I've read is risen to like 25.
Jesus.
Yes, and this is obviously in the areas of California where a lot of affluent people live and a lot of Hollywood industry types and celebrities live. Just some of the names that were sort of affected. Kim Kardashian and Kanye's house was in this area because it was Thousand Oaks, Malibu, Calabasas, Agora, and Hidden Hills. Lady Gaga, Caitlyn Jenner's house, Rainn Wilson, Guillermo del Toro. They also said like Ron Meyer,
Gerard Butler. Robin Thicke.
So obviously, all of these celebrities are sending out pictures. I want to just, can you just bring up the picture? Ben Affleck Instagrammed a photo that is, I'm seeing this photo. Have you guys also seen? I'm seeing so many people using this photo. They've photo credited the guy, whoever took it. But everyone that I'm seeing that lives up in that area has been using this photo, because I guess they feel it's a fair representative of just how crazy it looked. I mean, there were some quotes that I was reading. TheWrap did an article today that they were saying like the apocalyptic scene, you know, and you could see like the way that the stuff was burnt out. The odd thing was obviously one house would be completely burnt out and then the one next to it untouched. You know what I'm saying? I guess I want to get to this part of it. So obviously Trump, everyone waits for his tweet. So Trump tweets out after everyone, I mean, this is a serious thing. Like, people have died. People are evacuating their homes. I mean, you're looking on the news of these fires raging out of control. And his first tweet yesterday was, "There's no reason for these massive, deadly, and costly forest fires in California except that forest management is so poor. Billions of dollars are given each year with so many lives lost, all because of gross mismanagement of the forest. Remedy now or no more Fed payments."
Right. Well, I think that's Trump. is looking for any excuse to give it to the blue states, particularly California. So any excuse for him to say, hey, I want to pull some federal payments or make some threats which he can't even follow through on, he's going to take it. I think he's also playing to his base because, there's a lot of anti-Hollywood celebrity sentiment among a lot of, the red states, because Hollywood is very, very blue. So when they see all these celebrities being affected by the fires rather than, having, some human feelings of sentiment, they tend to pander to, that anti-celebrity,
So you led into a good question of mine because, and this is more like a media sort of angle of this story. What do you say to like the critics? Because I was looking at a lot of the comments that did come from other states like that. A lot of people are saying like, why do we have to hear like about the celebrities only? Like meaning like there's so many people affected. What do you say to critics that are saying like why is like sites, but I know that they're entertainment news sites, so they're obviously going to cover the Hollywood angle. But what do you say to people that are sort of like, why should we care that Kim Kardashian's house is like, why is that any more important than just an average person that lives on her block?
Well, like with Kim Kardashian, I mean, I don't know if I really enjoyed the way she kind of Instagrammed it and stuff, and then flying over in her private jet. I mean, that was not my cup of tea. But then seeing the interview with Martin Sheen, sleeping in his car on Zuma Beach and telling Charlie and Emilio, hey, I'm okay. I know you can't get a hold of me. Now that made it more real. Like that can affect anybody. But the way Kim kind of did it, I was just kind of, But Martin Sheen was like, I'm sleeping in my car. Well, like, I'm okay.
Yeah, at the end of the day, look, these are famous people, so we have a connection to them that we might not have to people that we've never met before. So it's newsworthy. I don't think it's that we necessarily care for their homes and not other people's homes, but it's newsworthy. They're famous and they're celebrities and,
Yeah. Do you think that there's less goodwill sentiment from the rest, like you just said earlier, like when something happens to California, that other parts
I think Hollywood mainly. I think gets a bad rap from a lot of people. Yeah.
But yet they're always looking for Hollywood to open up their checkbook when there's any other disaster in the country. Can Hollywood send money? Can Hollywood do a telethon? That's what I find to be interesting because I think as much as Hollywood gets this bad liberal Hollywood elite rap, that they're some of the most generous people that give to everybody else all over the world and the country when disaster strikes.
They don't send back the charity checks that Hollywood, always says they give.
Exactly. All right. Any other final thoughts besides prayers for this? We're 20% contained now.
Well, with the tweet that Donald put out there, Donald Trump, the fire department slapped back at them.
That's right.
And I really liked how the fire department put it out there. Where it was like, hey, no, it has to do with the winds and climate control. It has nothing to do with the forests and the money and all that stuff. And I really appreciated how the fire department slapped back at him and put him in his place.
Which our governor-elect, Gavin Newsom, hit back too yesterday because, well, when he said there was going to be no federal fence, he had already approved them. Okay, so that's you're right. He was just playing to the base, and he did backtrack, by the way, on his today he put up another tweet because after the backlash was so harsh, he put something like, the first responders, and just. Good thoughts or whatever. It's just the thing that was interesting about it. You're absolutely right. It was incorrect information yet again. It was not that our forest. That was not true.
Trump doesn't even know what forest management means.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't even. I mean, what like?
Oh my God. Anyway, moving on. I mean, what I said on Twitter after he tweeted that, I was like, does anyone expect anything different than that?
No.
If he would have tweeted like thoughts and on his, I would have been like, who hijacked his Twitter account?
Exactly.
He's keeping in pattern. He's not breaking away from his shtick.
Yeah. The good thing about living in California, we know this to be true. We're resilient.
Yeah.
We'll rebuild. We're resilient. I've been inspired by all the stories of the people directly affected.
Yeah.
So.
And everybody who is affected, I hope they'll rebuild. And they all said they're going to rebuild. And whether you're a celebrity or the person next door to the celebrity, they will rebuild. And they have been supporting and the communities come together. And I really have liked to see everybody coming out to help everybody.
Well, I just love the outpouring from other celebrities too, how swift it was. Just if you need help, if you need this, how can we help? Even our own, AfterBuzz executive producer Maria was putting up a lot of like evacuation places and all the information that people needed because you don't know how anyone was able to consume or what they had access to. So the more information disseminated, the better.
And Airbnb was offering like free rooms for people to stay, like come on over and stay like that. So that
to me,
really
it was like this is when Twitter to me is like a gift.
Right.
Twitter can be very the trolls can be really harsh. It could be a negative place, but this is when it's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so moving on from that. Okay, so the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. Have either of you guys saw it? Because I'm gonna say I haven't
seen it. I've been intending to see it.
Yes.
I'm a fan of Queen. Love Freddie Mercury's amazing.
Yes.
When I saw the trailer, I was excited to see it, but when I saw the trailer, I'm like, I'll get to it. I don't know, that it just seemed a little just like polished off, and when I read the article as well that they stayed away. What do you want to explain?
Yeah,
what
I'll
they stayed
explain
away
it to you.
from?
So basically, Rami Malek, who plays Freddie Mercury,
Who used to hang out at the house I used to live in when I first moved in Hollywood.
Did he really?
Yes,
Like,
man. When he
before
was
he
just,
was in it?
it was when he was in, what was the museum movie? Not in the museum where he plays the mummy?
The
Night at the Museum
the
too.
Nightmare.
Night at the Museum. That's funny. Like stayed at the same like a room.
No, I used to rent when I first moved to Hollywood. I used to rent a house with an actor.
I love the
And he used to come and hang out. Yeah, totally. Yeah. he would just stand in the corner of the party, like just hanging out, just talking to whoever. He was very shy.
Seems like a cool kid.
Totally.
So it plays Freddie Mercury in the movie, and he obviously was already being bantied around before the movie even got released about Oscar buzz. Okay,
Right.
and I think it is him, Bradley Cooper for Stars Is Born. They're two of the front runners, right? So the movie came out, and obviously because Freddie Mercury was in the closet at the time, his sexuality was not known, and there was a lot of talk of that. Queen and the management wanted him to keep that to himself. So there was an article from one of my favorite writers, Keven Fallon, on the Daily Beast, and he really took the movie to task because he felt like the movie played fast and loose with the facts about Freddie's sexuality, and they also sort of, I don't even know if there's a term for it, like we say whitewashed with casting, but like they basically like sort of took out like as much gayness from the movie. There's a raging debate when this article came out, even on a lot of social media and Twitter about it, because you have a lot of people saying how great the movie is, and then you have another contingency saying how they feel like it disrespects and it has like homophobic undertones because of the fact that it, but it's a movie about Queen. What are your thoughts on just reading that article? Because I sent it to you guys to sort of read.
Well, personally, I think that it's about Queen. It's not a documentary.
Yes.
So I feel it's a bit more about the band, how he came out to the band, not so much about Freddie himself.
Yes.
And I feel like if it was about Freddie, if the movie was named Freddie, fine, then I would expect more to be more detailed in it. But I think it's just a movie, and I feel like it's about the music and not so much about his personal life. But I mean, I don't know. That's just my take of it. And I heard it was really good. There are some scenes. There are some gay scenes in there.
Okay,
I heard.
got it. Okay.
Not, but it's PG-13.
Yeah.
So I
they
feel
wanted the masses to
I
see
wanted
it.
the masses to see it. That's why I think they're going.
Well, I
with
know
it.
that Remy was actually having issues with the director towards the end of the production.
Yes.
Because certain things, and I don't know if that was one of the reasons that he was having issues with the director, but he just felt that certain parts of the story were not being, emphasized enough. I kind of agree with you, but I will say that I feel that Freddie Mercury's sexuality and the fact that he had to be in the closet is part of the story, because I think his sexuality did kind of show itself in implicit ways through some songs, even the name of the band. Let's be honest. He was throwing the innuendo in people's faces, and they didn't even realize it. So, in the effort to normalize, different people's orientations, I think that they could have maybe, I haven't seen the movie, so maybe there's enough in it, and maybe some people just wanted more.
More, yeah.
But I do think that his sexuality was a part of his creative process and should be acknowledged in the movie to a certain degree.
Well, let me just read you this one passage then, because he says, the film plays fast and loose with facts in a way that suggests the entire project was born out of resentment from the surviving members of Queen, that all these years after Mercury's death, the band's legacy is still so married to their late frontman's outside voice, personality, and celebrity. Bohemian Rhapsody smells like cinematic retribution in which Mercury's posthumously punished, that he's depicted in such broad strokes is even crueler, which is sexuality reduced to a partying vice and the so-called nitty-gritty of his full life ignored, a creative decision that led originally announced star Sacha Baron Cohen to dramatically drop out. You know, Sacha Baron Cohen was originally going to play him, and he didn't want to because he didn't want to do, I guess, the gay scenes. Like, big surprise there, because, I mean, his whole shtick is not completely, like, underlining homophobic at all. But I digress. So, I feel like this is where I see people that are Queen fans, and even, like, older generation and younger that have come to the movie for Rami. I hate to say it, when I looked at the debate, I was very specific to look at, like, yes, you have a lot of gay community saying it's not gay enough and they ignored his life, and then you have a lot of straight people that went and saw it and be like, I think it's great, I love it. So it's interesting. I mean, I have not seen it, but I thought it was an interesting story that I wanted to talk about either way.
I think we're all going to see it this week.
I am going to see it this week.
I wanna see it.
Absolutely. So you know what? Stay tuned. We haven't reached a complete verdict until we see. Moving on. Okay, this is like a funny story. So Netflix rebooted, which, by the way, okay, there's two folds to this, because Netflix rebooted Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but I put it on and I was like, short of her name being Sabrina and there being a Cat Salem, I don't see how that's a reboot. Have you seen it?
No, but it looks.
It's
I saw the trailer. It looks different.
It's more of like a thriller series, and like but it's like, but it's not Sabrina.
It's not
It's darker?
It's not
It's very dark.
It's darker. It's very dark. It's almost like you think of like Vampire Diaries more in that.
They
vein.
asked her, would you be on it, and like the reboot, and she was like, no, it's not really what my show was about back then.
So it's called the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. They just said whatever. It just didn't even need to be Sabrina.
It didn't need to be.
Suffice
Sabrina.
to say, this week, the Satanic Temple is suing them for $50 million.
$150 million.
150. I'm sorry, you're right. $150 million for copyright infringement of ripping off the temple statue. Which basically it's Warner Brothers who's behind the show and Netflix, because they're saying this is too funny. According to the suit, the temple created a statue and based on its iconography dating to the 19th century, the suit alleges that the statue contains several elements that make it an original expression. They basically then go on to say that it's ruining like the Satanic Church's business by being used in this.
That's crazy. Well, the word is their business reputation. They have not only their business, because like what kind of business is Satanic Temple in, but their reputation as if like that's so polished and pristine.
Yeah. So what? I think I just wanted to talk about this because of how outrageous and how ridiculous this lawsuit is.
And for how much money they want.
Yes.
So
because
ridiculous.
also the statue only cost $100,000 to design and build originally. That's the crazy part. So where do they get the $150 million?
I've also seen images of that statue in different places. You know, I guess they just figured this is like a money grab opportunity.
So do you think that this has any merit in your non-legal opinion?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I
Me
feel like
neither.
they're just trying to get press from themselves for maybe their culture. Because I would have not said, hey, that's from the Satanic Temple. I know that. Go ahead anywhere.
This
You know what I mean?
This is their public awareness campaign to get more people to come to the Satanic Temple because, you know, attendance has been down the past couple of years.
Oh my God. Okay, moving on. Moving on from Satan versus Sabrina. This week, People magazine awarded crowned its Sexiest Man Alive, and it was Idris Elba. Hats off, which I thought was a very good choice. Okay, so you know how we're coming off last year, so I have to bring this up because
You hated it.
I thought last year was such. They picked Blake Shelton, and I couldn't believe that we were living in a world where Ryan Gosling had never been Sexiest Man Alive, and you're picking Blake Shelton. And no offense to anyone who's he's a super nice guy. I've watched him on Idol, but is he Sexiest Man Alive? I mean, so okay.
As a straight man, can I just be like,
yeah.
Even Idris Elba. I'm sorry, like Ryan Gosling, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I can.
Yes.
See, but what's the criteria here, and who's picking these guys?
Well-
Because as a straight man, I don't think these are the sexiest men.
No,
on
it's
the
sort of
planet.
like it's like Jess Cagle, who's like the editor in chief and like his panel, I guess, of like the masthead, top of the masthead, that sort of. And then I think it's a little bit of just to get insidery. Who are they gonna get? Who can they get to do the actual cover shoot?
Right.
Who has movies or TV things around the time?
But does Idris have anything coming out?
He
I just
doesn't.
felt like it came out of the blue.
So that's why what I bring to my point. Okay, so as much as I was happy that Idris Elba got it, I feel like it was in direct response, like
Right.
so contrived, because we're in this period of time where diversity is forefront and everything. It felt contrived. It was
did.
like we have to give it to an African American. We're gonna get, and it's like in direct response to like the country red state like guy that
Right.
to me it was like, I wish that it felt more authentic. To me,
Yes.
the choice felt completely contrived.
I mean,
Thoughts?
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Where's my Chris Hemsworth? Where's my Chris Evans? Like
Yes,
those kinds.
The guys that you actually want to go out with, you know, it's a little.
Where are
There's a
they?
little bit of political not political as in politics, but just like you said, who has the movie? Who can? I think Idris is going to be the next James Bond, isn't he?
Well, that's what they're
That's
wanting.
what they're
to.
wanting.
They
So
want it.
there could be a little bit of that too. That
Yeah.
they want to put him out there and sort of see, the response. I saw nothing but overwhelming response.
No, everybody loved it.
But I felt
He's
like-
a gorgeous man,
Yeah.
definitely.
But I joked about it on social media that I was like, oh, okay, well, this is like a make good for Blake Shelton to the world. So it's like, and no offense to Blake, but it's just sexiest man alive.
Yeah.
Can you think besides Denzel too? And I should have checked this on Wiki before. Other African Americans, because then I could have even thought Michael B.
Michael B.
Jordan.
I was just
Adam
gonna say
Creed.
Michael B.
I could have
Jordan.
thought of
He looks
Black
amazing.
Panther had a bit.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Chadwick Boseman had a
Mm.
big year. It was just kind of. It was like I feel like they literally the editors at People were like, oh, we need a diversity pick because we really screwed it up last year. So here you
Right.
go. And it's 2018. It's all about that. It just felt contrived.
And he's older.
But
I don't
most
know.
of these sexiest men of the years are. That's why,
Yeah.
like,
Well, when
pick a guy
Ryan
around
Gos-
35 if he's the sexiest guy in the world. Maybe, like,
I'm
late
trying to
30s.
remember when Ryan. Wait, who was the year that like was it Chris Pine or Chris? No, Chris. Was it one of the
guy that
Hemsworths
was in
got
Star
the year
Trek.
that one of the Hemsworths got it though? That was the year that like people were picketing outside for Ryan Gosling outside
Oh.
of like in New York.
And when are we going to give it to Ryan?
I don't understand
Come on.
why. Someone said, like an industry friend says that Ryan is very difficult to nail down to actually do
Maybe
the
he doesn't
cover.
wanna do it.
Maybe he doesn't even want to do it. Who
Maybe
knows?
he
I don't
doesn't
see
care.
him wanting to do it, actually.
I
I
agree.
can
But
see
it's
Ryan just trying to
crazy
avoid
that
that.
he's never been
But I
awarded
agree.
it.
Probably he doesn't want to do it. You're right.
Probably. So if that's the reason, then fine.
I mean, he doesn't want to do carpet, so come on.
We're happy about Idris. We just wish it felt, if we didn't know as much as we know about entertainment and the way the industry, it feels contrived.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on. So, in
we
this
love
next
Idris.
segment that we call Trump Talks,
Oh, jeez.
we always like to highlight the worst and the worst in the week of Trump. And so this week, Michelle Obama, very revealing, her memoir comes out.
So good.
Yeah, I can't wait to read it. It comes out Tuesday. She did a very candid interview on
It airs tonight.
on ABC. It airs tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Look at you. You're in
I
that
know it.
producer mode. You're in
Woo.
producer mode
Know
right
it.
now, Monica. It's feeding me notes. She talked about how, and by the way, she's never directly criticized or talked about Trump before this. Like when she even campaigned for Hillary, it was always veiled. You knew who she
Right.
was. But she basically said in her book that she can never forgive Trump for his birther, the birther
Yeah.
stuff, because it felt, basically she felt he was putting her family and her in danger.
I agree.
That what if like these, I think the quote, and I'm paraphrasing, like the wingnuts and the crazies could have what if they would have showed up with a gun to DC and,
With
you
their
know,
girls.
with the girls. And it completely really, I felt resonated with a lot of women. But what were your thoughts when how candid she was about that?
Well, that was one of them that I really appreciated, that her saying
Yeah.
how she really feels, and I think she's the most honest she's ever felt. But the thing that really strikes me is her miscarriages.
Yeah.
And the IV treatments that she had to,
Malia and
for
Sasha
it to-
were both born, to just catch up the audience, were both born out of IVF.
Yeah, IVF,
Yeah.
and I think was really like amazing for her to speak out about that,
Yeah.
because they look at the Obamas and they think perfect, wonderful, and then she
Yes.
was like, no, I had this happen, our marriage, we go and talk about it, like it's very open, and I think she's very real, and she's I think it's amazing how she's come out with this, but that nasty Donald Trump like totally ripped her right after, and I was just like, come on.
I think that she, again, women, she is such a role model for women because also she talked about how her and Barack have gone to marriage counseling.
Yes.
Which I think is so refreshing. Like, when people are candid, I just wish more people were real like that and introduce celebrities and stuff because I think they would help. I think there's this, how do I say it? There's this notion still that people are trying to be this perfect example for people, and people don't want perfect, they want authentic.
Yes.
You know, like the good and the bad, the warts and all. I love it. I can't wait to watch it and read the book.
Now, can people be? I think that maybe people are a little guarded when they become, celebrities. Because, the people like to bring people up and also tear people down. And sometimes when you're too real, you feel a little exposed.
Yes.
What's interesting about the, this book is that aside from, and she's usually measured when she comes at people, but she's coming straight at Trump. She wasn't very political in the book I'm reading, right? It's much more personal, which a lot of people are hoping that she runs for president at some point. I actually think a book that is not as political will help her, just like Barack Obama's book.
Dreams of
My Father was much more personal because you feel like you really get to know an authentic person.
Yes,
Right.
I agree with that. Because even people who didn't agree with Barack Obama's policies, always in things they were like, I like him. Like, it would be even Republicans say, I like him, I think he's a great guy, but I just don't agree with his policies.
Yeah.
And I think that rooted in what you're saying, letting the curtain down to really show who they are as people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so in this last segment before we wrap up, we call it Overheard Hollywood. I want each of you to just take a little moment and tell us maybe something you've heard out and about, or something you're working on, or something that our audience should check out this week. Anything?
Well, tonight, honey, we got the first People's Choice Awards tonight.
Yes.
So it's going to be great. Nicki Minaj is performing, Rita Ora. And they're giving an Icon Award to Melissa McCarthy, which I think is going to be great, and Victoria Beckham for a fashion icon also. So that's going to be amazing.
So is that why she was too busy to do the Spice Girls tour?
I don't know. I mean, I just think
were you there last night for the taping? It taped last night, right? The People's
No,
Choice?
it's tonight.
I thought it taped last night.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I thought it tapes. It's tonight. It
Okay,
airs tonight,
we have to
11/11.
check. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, 11/11 tonight. So it's going to be great, though. And
Okay.
then Michael Bublé is getting his Hollywood Walk of Fame this Friday.
Oh, nice.
And I think it's going to be such a touchy moment because he's had such a difficult year with his son, battling cancer and everything. And
What's the update with the son?
He's clear. He's
Nice.
good. He's
Okay.
good. Noah
Good,
is
good,
good.
good,
So, yeah, he's getting that this week on Friday.
Well,
so
look
it'll
for
be
that.
fun. Yeah.
Thank you, Monica.
You're welcome.
Humberto.
So this week on the Zoo, we got a couple cool things that we're going to be airing. One, Sierra Ramirez, who's a pop singer. She just put out a new record called Bad Boys. She's on The Fosters, and now there's a spin-off of The Fosters that she's going to be one of the main stars of.
Okay.
I should know the name.
On Freeform.
Yes.
Okay.
And we had her on the show, and we had 3 contestants, 3 guys, and we're going to set her up on a date. She's going to pick the guy without seeing him.
Nice.
And then we're going to follow her on a date. That's going to air this week. Plus, the Narcos premiere. I interviewed most of the stars of the new Narcos season. I believe this is going to be the final season.
Wow.
Yes.
So can't wait for that. Yeah.
Nice.
We love that.
Any spoilers?
A lot of people die.
Okay, that's perfect.
That's the way to end the season, right?
Well, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
And really quickly, I just want to tell viewers and listeners where they can find Meet the Hollywood Press. You can find us on AfterBuzzTV.com, YouTube. Also, Apple Podcasts, search Meet the Hollywood Press. Rate us, please. Drop us a little review. We get such nice comments on the YouTube pages. Translate that into our podcast, please. Also, Twitter, at Meet the HWD Press, and Facebook and Instagram, at Meet the Hollywood Press. Thank you all for listening and watching, and we'll see you next week.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.